Okay, so a couple things you're going to need to change the leading edge out on a Duotone. Pair of pliers, especially the type that lets you open the mouth wide, because you need to get around the valve locking devices on the Duotone. A flat tip so you can open the valve devices, and you don't have to have one of these, but in this video what we're going to do is we're going to show how one person can change the leading edge out and how you can do it in a really small place like in the garage. So it'll be handy, and we'll see that in just a minute. The other thing you want is a rag or something to protect your kite from the screwdriver and from stabbing yourself in the hand. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the left side, or basically single strut, and it's the left side facing the inflation valve. On pretty much all kites, you've got a piece of Velcro that's holding the wingtip in, and it's just pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to force it out. Get it stuck in there. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to take a little bit of this, and we're going to need a little line. So typically we'll use, if you're out somewhere, you can just use the lines on your bar and just take the end here, the lark's head knot, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a loop so we can connect to the end. Oh man, look at all that sand.
Maybe it's good I'm changing.
Yeah. And we're gonna loop it off, and then we're going to tighten it just a little bit. You don't have to do it too much. And we're not really worried about damaging this bladder because we're replacing it. And then you're gonna stuff it back in so it's a little bit easier.
I hope Duotone doesn't see this video. They're not gonna warranty my shit anymore.
Oh, no. All good. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is remove the dump valve. And what we're going to do is open it up like this, and then we're going to push it in and force it down. Just push it basically, back in through the hole.
And this applies to pretty much all Duotone kites, right? Post plate.
All do. And well, only Duotone, because most other kite brands stopped using the dump valve like years ago. All right, so next thing we're going to do is remove the valve clamp here. So this is where you want to have a towel, and you want to place it in behind your valve clamp, so that when you open it up, you don't take a chance of stabbing yourself or poking a hole in your kite. And essentially, you just want to work very carefully, work it in until you pop it. Then don't try to pull it open, just rotate it, and then do the next one. Okay, and always make sure you put your tools away from your kite, so that you don't take a chance of stepping on your kite and damaging it with a tool stuck underneath it. Next, I'm just going to pop that off like that. And then, this can be a little bit of a bitch, but I'm going to push this one through too. Just like that. And now that's free. Alright, so the way the valve is going to go in, it's going to go in with the ports. The dump valve and the strut inflation valve are going to be facing up, and then we're going to unzipper this so we can pull the bladder out. Now, since we're doing this, single man, we're going to take this and really anything you have that you can use, and we're going to put it, let's see. like that. And normally if you have somebody helping you, you could just simply have them hold this in. But I'm doing this single, so.
No, she's gonna pull it off.
Right, just exactly that. So. Just kind of little tugs, because you still got all that valve sticking up in there. There we go. Here's our line.
Well, that's half the bladder, basically.
That's half the bladder.
Wow.
Well, we're in a tight space, so we're just going to do one side first, and then we'll do the other. But what we're going to do is we're going to fold the bladder up, so it makes it easier for us to do this.
So we got everything up to the valve, basically, right?
Everything up to the inflation valve.
Yeah.
I'll move our tools out of the way, and we'll get our. All right, so here's our dump valve. And what we're going to do is just keep going till we get right to the inflation valve.
Oh, it's on there. Okay.
Yeah, everything is on there.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering how that works.
All we have to do is get it in and get it oriented correctly, so there's no twist.
So I heard that's a big part. If you don't, then it blows up basically when you inflate, right?
Well, no, we're gonna inflate it in such a way. So you don't have to inflate it all the way. You just inflate it just a little bit, enough to be able to detect whether there's a twist. And then a way to solve that problem is usually the twist is going to be back here, because it took
Towards the end, right? Towards the wingtips.
Yeah, it took so long. It's a long pull to get it through. And sometimes what happens is the valve, or the dump valve, or the inflation valve for the strip will turn and cause a twist. But what you can do is you can pull your bladder, you can deflate it, pull your bladder all the way out, and then straighten it out and pull it back.
Pull it back in.
Pull everything all out again. But to get it in evenly, what we're going to do is we're just going to fold everything up nice and neat, and basically oriented with the ports up. The ports being the inflation, the valve, and the dump valve.
Right, the same way the kite's laying on the floor, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then the trick is that the tip of this thing is coated with an extra layer of bladder. See?
The tip.
And what we're going to do...
Oh, that's for pulling, basically.
Yeah, basically that'll help you do this without damaging the rest of the bladder. Also, there's always several inches of extra bladder, and it often confuses people because you get to the end there and the valves don't match the holes, and you're like, okay, what the heck is going on?
Is that the part that gets wrapped into that thing that you pulled out?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you mean like
the one that like it's folded at the tip?
Yeah. So this will go into that folded tip.
And that's the extra inch or that lines up.
And then we've got to adjust the bladder. The trick is that you don't really have to, the length is going to worry you, but you don't need to worry about the length. And I'll show you in just a second why that is. So now we're going to carefully put the line and the bladder tip in, making sure that we oriented it just right so we don't have a problem with it catching. And now I'm just going to pull it through. And what I like to do is just kind of full pop. Okay, and that's fine.
No, it's the
Just want to make sure that it doesn't catch. And just easy to...
Now recording. So we're gonna go up to the valve basically.
Well, it's not going to be quite that.
Almost up to, yeah, because the valve we haven't touched it.
That's because you got a lot of extra. See, now what you're going to notice when you reach down here and you feel it.
Yeah.
Here's the dump valve. Notice how far it is.
Yeah, it's a couple inches off.
And how far we pull this out. That's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. But it can be much, much more. So what you want to do.
Is it really the same bladder? I heard it like multiple sizes use the same bladder, or is that bullshit?
You know what? I think that you could use an 8 on a 9 and a 9 on a 10.
Yeah.
I think you could get away with that. Because they're going to stretch. This bladder can stretch to like 5 times the size. So, you know, you can get, but it's the length that you got to worry about, right? So what you want to do is stick your finger in where that valve is and move it pressing down, because you don't want the bladder to get twisted up, but you also want to look in the hole and make sure that the material, the bladder itself, is not going to be pinched in between the dump valve and the locking mechanism. So you can already see where I've got the potential right here. See this? You can already see I have a potential of pinching that accidentally. That's really the thing you got to watch out.
So how do you resolve that?
Well,
when you inflate?
You lift up and you just keep working with it. You're not gonna, I mean, where you're gonna damage it is after you pull it through and as you try to clamp it down. What we need to do here is we need to get, and I think, yeah, here we go. And just very gently pull that up. And now the bladder should be fine. So, okay. So you got on this dump valve, you're going to have a lip right here, and you just need to make sure that you get that lip up.
Oh, so it stays out.
Yeah, so it stays up. It's really, you know, it's interesting. It's being held by pressure mostly, but you can see
probably sticks better once you inflate it the first time, right?
Yeah, and you can see the
there's a
lip, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just need to make sure that we're not. Yeah. All right. And what I do is I just lock it into place. I just go ahead and do this to keep it from moving around. Okay, so now we're gonna feel along here.
And do the other one.
Yep, here's the other one right here. So actually this one's gonna go a lot smoother.
So that was for the deflate and this is for the strut.
Yeah, that was the dump valve and this is the strut valve. I guess you call it the strut valve. Probably somebody would correct me. But, alright, so again, you want to be kind of careful. And what I like to do is I like to pull the material away.
Right, so it's sticking the bladder by itself.
So it doesn't pinch. Alright, so now we'll pull this back and work it.
It's basically the same type of valve, right, as the other one.
Well,
I mean the same.
This one's going to have 2 ribs or 2 rings, and we want to get down to the bottom ring for you know this.
Oh, right, because the other one's for the connection.
The locking, for the locking mechanism. All right, so now.
So how many more meters can you jump once you replace the bladder?
Well, I think for Stas it's maybe 2 meters.
That will work
but
for
me.
me.
Everyone else it's like 30 meters. All right, so
I'm cool with 2.
Here's the icky part. You want to wet it a little bit.
Oh, so it slides down there.
So it slides
Some
on.
lubrication.
Yep. You said it, I didn't. All right.
Everyone thought it.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to put the clamp back on. We're going to wait until after we've inflated it the first time.
Okay.
To test for twists. Because if the twist is too far back, we'll have to take it out again and redo it. So
gotcha.
We're not going to put the clamp on, but we'll put this on so we can inflate it. All right, so now to the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there was about 3 inches of extra room, but we're not going to worry about that because most of the bladder is going to push up against the wingtip. But you've got this little extra, and you can do one or two things with it. You can push it back, or this is the way they used to do it back in the day, is they would fold it like this and do this number and then put it back in. I actually like pushing it back just a little bit. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so however you do it, what we're gonna do is we're just going to wrap these up together, kind of round it like this, and then we're gonna go and find the patch for the Velcro, and we're just gonna stuff it in there and just make sure it sticks. Okay, so what's gonna happen is when you inflate it, it's gonna come down to the end and basically bulk up, and that's what actually keeps the bladder from popping out. It's as simple as that. All right, now we do the other side. All right, so
we do the valve from the once we do the other side. Okay. Oh, then it lines up. Cool.
yeah, and then we pull it back out, slowly deflate it, and Bob's your uncle. All right. So now what we're gonna do is just gonna put this aside, and we're gonna release this. Now, it's basically held on with what amounts to a plastic nut. So we're just gonna twist it out. And the thing that you should keep note of is that there's two notches, a small one and a big one. And those are important to get right when we put it back in. But it just drops out like that.
Oh, that's what it keeps from spinning or rotating, so it doesn't.
It locks it in, and yeah, and it does that too. Keeps it from, twisting up in there when you're trying to fly it. Okay, so we're just gonna set this aside, get our tools, and go back at it again. Oh shit, no.
Fuck you, man.
The words you don't ever want to hear is, oh shit.
Whenever I do something, it's always, oh shit, dude. So.
Okay. Pop, pop. 2 pops. There goes the clamp. Pull that sucker off and pull this out. And pretty much the same as before. We're gonna lay the leading edge so that it's, it's valves up. And where's my, there we go. Twist. Notice the glue is pretty tough, man. I don't think I don't think the screwdriver will go through there if I missed. Did I pop? Yeah, I did. Okay. So that's that.
Do you use your deflate valve to deflate the kite?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, when I'm at Ocean Beach especially, or someplace where you have a long walk, I let the dump valve, I leave the struts clamped so they stay inflated, and I release the dump valve and roll the kite up, and the struts.
Oh, so it's like a long. It gives your shape.
Tuck it under your arm, and
it's a good idea.
And do your walk. And it goes into the back of the car, especially if it's raining. Just toss it in the back of the car and then sort it out when you get home.
Yeah, I noticed in some countries they actually store kites like that.
Yeah, well,
Egypt.
Like I'm going to the Philippines, and we're gonna hit Boracay first. And in Boracay, a lot of the kite schools have sheds devoted to kite gear, and they have kite caddies. So basically you ride in, you hand your gear off to the kite caddy, he breaks everything down, rolls your kite up in the way that I talked about, and then puts it in a berth in the kite shed. And then what you do is when you're ready to kite again, you text them and let them know that you're coming, and they get your stuff set up.
How much does that cost? Like $5 a day or something? Probably more now.
No, you can give them money or you can give them stuff.
Okay.
But it's not there's not a set fee. So, $10 or something like that for the entire trip.
Oh wow.
Is usually pretty good. But a lot of those guys, they want to become pros. They're there to kite.
Oh, so they want a free kite possibly at the end if it's something you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah. So what happens is when you're done for the day and there's still a little wind out there, they go get a kite from the school and they go out and practice. And some of them are really good too. But
I think how the Brazilian guys, right, get really good. Yeah.
But so they kind of have a privilege, sort of, to work there with the kite school. Anyway, Boracay's pretty unique place. The other place we're going, there's nothing there. There's not even any infrastructure.
What's it called?
It's called Araceli.
I've never heard.
It's in an island called Dumoran, just off the coast of Palawan.
Oh, I've been. That's what El Nido is, right?
El Nido is up in the north. Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That place, most beautiful place I've ever been.
Yeah. Well, Palawan just got ranked number 4 in the top 10 places that are trending right now.
Really?
Which is kind of shocking because hardly anybody's ever, heard of Palawan. You're not going to find very many people who can point it out on a map.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I know where Philippines is, but not where Palawan. But yeah, it was. The little islands are pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, there's so many places to kite there now. But if you ever, like I said, if you ever decide to go, or you want to put together a trip, I have friends there that can help, and I can hook you up. And then when we get our bed and breakfast set up, if you actually want to go to this one island,
I'm down.
you're
I went there before I knew how to kite. Kind of sad. Yeah.
I went to the Philippines to learn how to kite because it's too expensive here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I went to Cyprus.
When I started kiting, it was 2006, and I paid $500 for an entire week of lessons.
$120 for like 4 days, and that was my whole course.
Yeah, but it was pretty much back then. It was pretty much, oh, you got on the board, you're done. It's like, okay, well, what about all the other stuff?
Yeah, it was the same shit for me. There's no safety or...
No. Yeah, the safety was you just get your kite and you point it towards shore and just hope that you arrive.
I had a Russian dude yelling at me nonstop in Russian. Shit was pretty depressing. Man.
Yeah, well, my instructor was Filipino and he didn't speak English. He only spoke Tagalog and the Visayan dialect, which is funny. But the people that ran the school back then, there was only one school. It was a German woman and a British gentleman. But now there's something like.
This is Boracay, right?
Yeah, Boracay. There was like 20 schools there at one point.
It's not that big though, like that area, because it's just that one side of the island, right?
Yes, but there's a little tiny island south of there, and to do it, you get a boat, and it's like being in the middle of the ocean. You can't see the landmass anywhere around you, but you just stay there for a few days, and there's always wind, like 24/7. It's like the windiest spot in the Philippines.
Wow.
And it's always blowing, and it's kind of a deserted island.
Kite loops all day.
Yep, over the island if you want, because it's got a reef around it, a big one. Basically, you take a dinghy and you ride up to the reef, and you get out, step out on the reef, pick up the dinghy, carry it over into the bay, and go to the island.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those kind of situations.
I think I remember. I think it's like on the northern part, right? There's like a dive spot, like people jump off that's kind of where you leave to the island.
Well, there's diving spots everywhere in the Philippines.
No, I mean on Boracay.
No, not really. Not really.
All right, let's get back to the original.
Enough of the story?
No, story is good. We're gonna title the video Bladder Change.
Yeah, but we gotta get this thing done because we got one more kite after this, right?
Yeah, and that's a bigger one.
All right, so this time I didn't use the clamp, but so what you do is you just grab it like this, and you just do this number. However you have to get it out, because you're not gonna.
Yeah, we don't care about like
You don't
damage.
care about the bladder, right?
No. I can hold it.
Yeah, if you want. There we go. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold this back up again. Pull this out. I'm gonna take this end of it. All right.
And same as the other one, make a
Same as the other.
stack it.
Just make folds, nice and easy. And if you ever get a hold of the instructions
There's such a thing.
for doing this, basically this is the same instructions given,
By Duotone.
yeah, for doing your struts and your bladders. Struts are infinitely easier.
And most of the issues are not strut related, right?
Most of the issues are what?
Not strut related to the struts of Duotone
struts?
kites.
Well,
Because they
they're-
told me to keep them inflated and everything deflated except for one strut. But I'm assuming it was the valve was bad, probably.
well, all I can tell you is that over 20 years of North and Duotone and other kites, every year is a different sort of story. There's always an issue.
So it could be. Okay.
So it could be anything.
Could be the strut. Could be the
But
valve.
struts don't usually. The North Vegas. I replaced more struts
Why'd you
with the-
ride the Vegas?
because
That's a separate story, guys.
well, I mean, I had aspirations like everyone else back then of
For unhooking.
unhooking. You know, riding unhooked, right?
Yeah.
And so Vegas was the kite to do that. Unfortunately,
That's all it was for.
I had they loop like a madman. Vegases, they
Yeah.
have a unique yank.
Super high aspect, no?
No, they're C. They're
But
pure-
isn't C also kind of high aspect? It's long, right? It's
no,
just thin.
because C makes a C shape. But if you want a high
Oh,
aspect,
right, because it's not flat.
yeah. So delta shaped kite is more high aspect, but what is an example? I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but yeah, Vegas is very much a C kite.
Well, let me feed it.
Is it the valve?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, very good. All right, I got up to the end here.
Yeah, one more valve. Oh, I guess that's
So yeah, so
that's this one, right?
this is where I mentioned there's a lot of extra, and you don't really need to worry about it. What we do need to do though is we need to get this material in here without getting it twisted up. So to do that, let's take my fingers and move it in, kind of pull it forward or backward if you want to, and then carefully get this in here, making sure that you don't get too much material around it. But you don't need to worry about the bladder at this point. You just need to keep the bladder away from the valve and just make sure that you get the valve aligned. So now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in, and I'm just going to carefully pull and make sure that the bladder's not caught. It'd be a really bad thing to get extra bladder in there.
Oh, that's where the basically the blow-ups happen?
Well, you know, over time, it can damage the bladder, and then you get small leaks, and then, you know, you're like, what the hell? Why is it leaking? And then when you do the soap test, you find the leak is around the valve.
So how can you check to make sure that there's no bladder between?
Well, what you do is when you reach in here, you're basically feeling the you know, other underside of the valve, and you're just pulling the bladder away.
Gotcha.
Just make sure that it's not there. That's really it. But, well, so the other thing that I recommend is once you get the notches in place, get them locked in, is hold it down, because what can happen is as you're screwing this thing down, they can pop back out and twist. You want to make sure those notches do not move until you get this thing locked in. All right.
So basically we got two more, since it's a 3-shot, we got 2 more valves, right?
Yep. And now what we're seeing here is we got a valve.
Something like a Rebel would be a little more complicating, but same idea.
Five struts, yeah. I mean, it's just 2 extra. It's just 2 more.
Extra. These.
All right, so this one is way back here. But again, so what we're doing is we're just working it forward. I recommend like pressing it down and working the bladder to pull the valve, but make sure that it stays upright so it doesn't have a chance to twist on you. And we just keep working it until we get it in place. And again, make sure you don't let any of the bladder material get in. Sometimes there's a lot, so you can see how that.
Yeah, that one has a lot.
So that's not awesome.
But we can pull that out, right?
Yeah. So you can typically reach in and you can pull that out of the way. It's the best thing. Sometimes what you can do is you just put your mouth over the valve and you grab both sides of the, you know, a foot or so, and you clench the bladder, and then you just inflate it with your mouth.
Oh, so it kind of pushes out.
So it kind of fills in the bladder and pulls it away from. All right, so now we're gonna get it. We got to get it under that second lip. This is always the fun part. When you're first doing this, you always get a little frightened that you're gonna hurt something.
Yeah.
You're not gonna damage it by doing this. Just as long as you're not being overly aggressive with it. Okay, so same thing, we're gonna wet it. And then get the...
And not put the clamps on until we inflate.
Right, we're not gonna do the clamps. One thing I forgot to do, I'll do this later, is when we inflate it for the first time, we're gonna lock the clamps in because we don't want the struts to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Inflate, gotcha.
Yeah, and get the zipper back in place. It's a good idea to get in the habit of doing the zipper right when you get the valve done.
So you don't forget it.
Yeah.
Oh, then it wants to pop out. When
Yeah. You'll catch it though. Like I said, we're not gonna try to inflate this thing fully. All right, so I can feel the valve is here.
How do you feel about Alula versus regular Dacron over?
It's much better material, man.
No, I mean like for even doing this job.
Oh, so it hasn't made any difference one way or the other.
Not like harder to feel the bladder because it's a...
No, not at all. No, if anything, it's, well, actually, no, it's no difference, really.
Cool.
All right, so as far forward as we are, we can't stick our hand in there, unfortunately. So you see this, right? A little bit of bladder sticking up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to work it.
With the leading edge.
There you go, see?
Yep.
Now it's gone. Cool. We just reach in behind and kind of massage it to get it out of there. And then pinch these guys, this collar, just pinch it down.
To get the rings past.
Work to get it worked in. Pretty easy. make sure that you're, you got the whole thing in, and we're good. Ugh. That tastes like Half Moon Bay and Ocean Beach mixed together.
Yeah, that would make sense. And some Third Avenue.
and some Third Mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering what that nasty.
But you're used to Third.
Yeah.
I'm used to Third.
Yeah, after years of Third, man, it's lucky we don't have arms growing on the back of our backs. All right. All right, so now that we've tested and make sure that the bladder's in right and there's no twists and we're all good, now we're gonna put the locks back in. You can see a second lip here, and you've got your locking valves are going to be flat on the bottoms. Those are gonna basically connect to the bottom here.
Okay.
And inside here, you'll see clearly that the ring or the lip is gonna fit. So you just get...
Oh, it's pretty plug and play kind of.
Yeah. So you can't, The trick though is to have the right tool. I mean, you can, if you've got a really strong grip, you could probably do this with your fingers.
Oh.
But that's why I use a pair of pliers on the wide setting, because you just stick it in there like this, and you want to hear 2 clicks. If you don't hear 2 clicks,
You heard one, right?
double check to make sure that it's in place well, and you can see that it is. I mean, it'd be obvious if it weren't, because it would be the seams would be kind of off, but it's in. That's it. That's all you got. So now let's get these last ones. So now we're gonna finish this
We're
up,
close to the moment of truth.
and then we're gonna go for it, and we're gonna see if we can blow a bladder up. The right way.
Yeah.
Not explode. All right, so here we go again. So we're gonna just nice and easy. Don't put a lot of force on this, and try to keep it nice and even so it doesn't twist up. And then let's fold this material like so. Doesn't have to be neat. Let's make sure reach in there and make sure we got this oriented right.
So it hits the Velcro now.
Yeah. So it hits the Velcro, and then just kind of you can feel that, you can hear it, you can feel it.
Nice.
And we're in there good. All right, so here we go. You want to come on this side, I think. 'Cause I'm gonna pump it up on this side. Tiny garage, so fold the windows up. And let's make sure they're locked. Is the valve locked over there?
Yep.
All right, so
So basically the only thing is supposed to inflate right now is the leading edge.
the leading edge, and very, very slowly. Now, this is something I haven't done with the Lula. With the other materials like the SLS and the regular Dacron, you can easily tell where the twist is.
Oh yeah, because this is less
material
see-through.
is, this material is a little less forgiving. Oh. Yeah, and you got the fact that, there we go.
So what do you go up to, like 3 psi or something like that?
No, you go up until you start to see everything fill in.
Shape up.
Yeah. Okay, I can already tell you that it's right.
How do you know?
Well, because normally you'd start seeing a twist. And unfortunately, we did it right, so we can't demonstrate a twist. But here's what a twist would look like. So it would look sort of like this.
Oh, okay.
Not as extreme as that, but you would be able to tell that you've got a twist. And it happens up here, but when it happens, what you can do is deflate, pull the bladder out this way,
Yeah.
sleeve it all the way down to where the kink is,
Okay.
straighten it out, untwist it, and then carefully put it back. And that way you don't have to take it all out again.
Gotcha.
Okay, so another thing you're going to notice right off the bat.
That's a little, yeah.
You see these kinks?
Yeah.
They're happening because the bladder is longer than the actual leading edge.
Okay.
And so they bunch. But the first time you pump it up like this, and you just basically go along and massage it a little bit. The next time you pump it up with the struts, it's perfect.
Okay, that's a very good thing to know, because that looks scary.
Yeah, it looks scary, but it's definitely not twisted. So you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bladder, kind of folding a little bit.
Yeah.
But as soon as we release it and blow it up, this will go away.
Okay. So it's kind of molding to the leading edge.
Well, it's gonna contract and expand until it's smooth, but we're not fully pumping it. And so now that we can see there's no twist in it, we're just gonna go ahead and release these valves. If you want to release them. Yeah. Pump it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna let the air out. Hold the wing in. We'll let it naturally deflate, and then we'll pump it up one more time. And you want to do 2 pumps before you actually go right. This gives it an opportunity to
kind of fix itself.
Yeah, settle. But even if it doesn't right off the bat, you're going to be fine. It's the twist that you really got to worry about. Okay, see that?
Yeah.
It's smoother now.
Yep.
There you
And
go.
I think even over there. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so the other thing I recommend is after you get the second pump, if everything looks good, you leave it overnight or leave it for a couple of hours, and you'll know if you pinch the bladder somewhere and it's leaking.
Okay.
Because it'll lose air and it'll be really apparent. And that's it. That's the big scary job.
That wasn't too bad. Thank you. Alright, I'm gonna stop recording.
Done.
Boss level confirmed.